Hello, fellow cyborgs. Today I would like to discuss with you how I forked up. I have forked up and will continue to fork up in many ways in my life, but the main two I want to talk about today is that I failed to speak out sooner. I failed to show my support on my channel for Black Lives Matter and Black Writers Matter. Part of the reason is I didn't feel as though my voice was the priority here, that my voice was the one you should be listening to right now. But another part of it, and I admit probably a greater part of it, was due to my embarrassment in my second fork up, and that was my failure to follow through. In September of 2016, I responded to Acacia's Black Writers Matter challenge. I talked about how few books I had on my shelves by Black writers, and I pledged to broaden my reading horizons and read more diversely, especially Black authors. I did some of that, but not nearly enough, and to really shameful levels. And I initially decided that I was going to change my actions right now. I was going to change my reading habits right now, and then slowly over time you would see my actions. I thought making another video pledging the same thing, too little too late, would be disingenuous because I had pledged the same thing before and no change had actually happened. I didn't feel as though I deserved to make another announcement which would point out what a great person I'm going to try to be in the future when I'd done so before and no real change had happened. However, I did watch a couple videos which I will link down below, one by Mercy's Bookish Musings and one by Books by Lainez, that changed my mind. Today, instead of officially repledging anything or talking about the ways that I'm going to be a better white person, which is definitely not my intention of this video, but I also acknowledge that that is a byproduct of this video. Today I want to discuss with you some statistics I found on my reading habits since that video in September of 2016. So when I made that initial video in 2016, on my Goodreads I had previously read 4 books by Black authors in the history of my reading. My initial video was in September of 2016, and after that video posted, I read 7 books by Black authors in 2016. However, in that year, I read a total of 192 books, so that was 3% of my reading in 2016. In 2017, I read 6 books by Black authors, but my total numbers were 89 books that year. That was 6%, so the percentage is a little bit better, but I read 1 less book in 2017 than the year before. In 2018, I read 13 books by Black authors out of a total of 118, which still puts the percentage at 6%, though that's the highest number that's going to be on this list at 13 books a year. In 2019, I read 2, and that year I read a total of 122 books, which is a 1% out of that. And then this year in 2020, as of filming this in mid-June, I have read 1 book by a Black author out of a total of 92 so far. 1%. Really telling of where my bookish priorities have been of late. In September 2016, I also showed you that I owned 2 digital works by Black authors and 4 physical works by Black authors. Today, in June of 2020, those numbers are ever so slightly better. I own 7 digital things by Black authors and 10 physical things by Black authors. So, like I said, these numbers are shameful and embarrassing. These numbers show my actions rather than my words. My actions are more important than my words, which is why I didn't think that I should make this video and proclaim anything out of my mouth, and I should just start changing my habits and let my habits speak for myself. However, it is important that white people talk about the fact that they support Black Lives Matter and they support Black Writers Matter. It's important for white people to challenge their preconceived notions, to expand and broaden their empathy and horizons by experiencing other people's experiences the only way we can, which is through our imagination, which is through the words of those people. So I'm not going to verbalize my plans of how my channel is going to change in the future. I hope that in the future I do not make myself a doubly liar, that I actually do affect change within my life and my reading habits, which is such a huge part of my life, and that you actually see me do what I promised 4 years ago. I'm currently reading Hyperion by Dan Simmons, which is a sci-fi novel. In it, Francis Bacon is quoted to say, "There arises from a bad and unapt formation of words a wonderful obstruction to the mind." That quote hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm not fixating so much on the idea that all of the books that I have read and enjoyed in the past 4 years have been bad or unapt. The part of that quote that hits me the hardest is the idea of an obstruction to the mind. And what I have been doing with my reading lately is just reinforcing the walls of my experience, reinforcing those walls that I build, those obstructions in my mind, which is my own personal experience of whiteness and privilege. And I have not been doing the hard work, or even the fun, easy work, which is reading books, trying to deconstruct those obstructions, trying to make them more permeable so that I can have a hint of a glimmer of a glimpse into the lives of people who are daily oppressed, who are daily killed openly because of something they can't control, which is the color of their skin. So 4 years after making that initial pledge, I am still at the beginning of my journey to greater understanding. I recognize my ignorance in talking about race. I recognize my ignorance in understanding race and race issues, and I plan, be as skeptical as you'd like, on putting in the hard work to educate myself. I'm hoping that what you will see on my channel reflects that. So that's what I wanted to say today. I urge you to find Black voices to listen to. I urge you to find Black books to read. I urge you to use the wonderful tool, which is the internet, to find ways that you can enact change within yourself and your community. I wish that I had done better over the course of the last 4 years. I really wish that I had, but I didn't. I failed to follow through. I forked up. Let's just hope that the magnitude and amount of my forking up in the future decreases over time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, continue to be lovely.